If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American.
Yes.
God
bless the USA. All right, everybody. We have a special guest. We're going to bring him right up. Mr. Dan Butierez, running for Congress. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, Damien. How you doing?
I'm just, happy it's Friday. Obviously, I was a little disappointed, with the interview that we're going to review right now. And you haven't heard it, right? So this is the first time.
Yeah, my wife was trying to, but, I have a grandchild and I'm a granddaddy, duty.
Yeah.
But I gave him some candy. I said, I give you some candy. You go watch your cartoon while Grandpa does the podcast.
Nice. Well,
So
if
he's
he
over
needs
there
to come
being
in,
good.
if he needs to come in, feel free.
Yeah.
If you're okay. So tell me a little before, because people are just getting in here. Tell me, a lot of people don't, are tuning in from Tucson or from outside of Tucson, from inside. I see some locals in the chat. If you're a local, say hello. But Dan, just telling me a little bit about what you're running for, who you're running for against, and kind of what you're about, and maybe what Adelita kind of stands for versus what you stand for.
All right. Well, as most know, I'm Daniel Butierez. I'm running for United States Congress, and I'm running against Adelita Grijalva, who did an interview today. Her and I are polar opposites. Both of us were born and raised right here in Tucson, but we both have a completely different vision for Tucson. And hers tend to be going the way of New York City. And mine, I want to get back to the way we used to be when we were a community and a neighborhood, and people would go out and talk with each other and have barbecues, and politics wasn't in everybody's everyday life. So.
Right. So, well, as I'm going to get this interview ready, I got it ready. I got your website, and I'm going to put that in the chat. So, obviously, you don't have any big backers, right? From what I heard, you basically just funded your campaigns by yourself, like compared to Adelita. She's got all this. I mean, you could see her signs are new every year. New. It's like she's almost in New York City with the funding she has. So,
Yeah.
Are you self-funded pretty much?
I've been self-funded. I've put in about $300,000 of my own money into this, and I've I told my wife I'm done. I mean, we have a bunch of signs. We really do need money, but you know, it'll be what the people want to do now. I put my sweat, my time, my energy going on 3 years traveling all over Southern Arizona, meeting people. Yuma's getting ready to throw me a big fundraiser. We had one the other night. I believe we made like 600 at it. I mean, this are small numbers compared to my opponent who has big packs and the union backing
And the
and
Indians, the Native Americans, which in this interview you're gonna hear her. She is best friends with the Native Americans, and I love the Native Americans, but the way that she cozies up to them and sweetheart deals for everybody, it's. So here's a little thing, and then we're gonna jump. I'm gonna get the interview, but this is from your website. Is this okay to play right here?
yep.
I'm Daniel Butierez. My family has resided here since before Arizona was a state. While politicians talk about border security, I live with its consequences daily. I'm a business
It's not
owner,
playing.
and I employ dozens of hardworking people
You can't hear it?
fighting to overcome.
No, there's no volume.
I believe in second chances. For these animals we've rescued,
Let me check the chat because that might be on your end.
Oh.
That might be on your end. Can chat? Can you hear the video? Yeah, so they can hear it, Dan. If you
Okay.
can't hear it, you might need to come out and then come back in.
That's all right. I've heard it. Let everyone else hear it. I've heard it.
Okay, but if the interview comes on and you can't hear it, that you might need to do that. So here,
All right.
for the people rebuilding their lives, and for our state. I know what it means when government fails its people. I spent a decade wrongfully imprisoned without due process. It took 30 years to clear my name. I lost everything, but I fought back and won. Now I'm fighting for you. To protect your constitutional rights, cut your taxes, and make our communities safe again. I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman, a neighbor, and an Arizonan who's lived the struggle. Send me to Washington, and I'll fight for Arizona values with everything I have. I'm Daniel Butierez, and I approve this message.
All right. So we got the interview ready. Anyone, if they want to share this out, hit the like button. Dan, if you want to share that out. All right. Are you back?
Yep. I went out and came back in and I could hear. So
Yep. Yeah. If that ever happens, just do that. And then,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Damien.
No, come in, come back out. Go in and come back out again. All right, we'll try that one more time. Let's check the chat. Thank you. This is a special program. Thank you, Kathleen, for. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Just if that ever happens, just go in, come right back out. Slick Click is been a member for 20 months, and he asked if Tim is invited, and Ruben Reyes. No, they have. They would never come if we did invite them. We all know that. But here we go. We're going to get right into this. Now, just so everybody can, and Dan, when it's playing, if you want, you can mute it. And then just, if you need to.
All right.
So there's Dan Butierez. Now, he's running for Congress against Adelita Grijalva. Now, Adelita Grijalva basically, was given her seat essentially by her dad, who was his name was Raul Grijalva. So basically, she had the name recognition, the daughter, and we're watching our city, in my opinion, kind of just circle the drain, as some people like to say. But shout out to all the people in the chat. Tim Steller, if you're in there, we're gonna critique you, but we all have respect for each other. We're nothing personal. Now, real quickly, I needed to play one thing I forgot. So I just have to play this to protect myself a little bit. Dang it. Well, I'm just going to do it a different way. I got to read this, but basically because, oh, he went out again. Are you there?
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything, so I went out and came
Okay.
back in. Now I can hear you again.
So what happens is I'm going to just pull you out because right when we start the interview, we're going to, but I got to read this real quick just to protect because this is fair use, that we're using this. This is from Buckmaster Show, Buckmaster Communications LLC. He's a award-winning journalist, freelance storyteller. So we are reacting to his piece that he did today on his show. And basically this live stream is produced for purposes of news reporting, commentary, criticism, education, research, and public discussion regarding matters of public interest. Any third-party audio, video, images, photographs, screenshots, articles, social media posts, and other copyrighted material that may be referenced during this broadcast are used solely for the transformative purposes described above. So this is fair use. We are just reacting from Bill Buckmaster's show. I'm going to put this last thing on the screen because this is what we're going to do. We're going to stop. We're going to play it. And I have to do that just to protect independent media and people that want to take away our voice from reacting to their voice. So here we go. Check the chat one more time. Hello, FinFan, Tony, Vidal. Lots of people coming in. Okay, so we should be good. You can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so this should be the last time you have to do that. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the, it's not that long, so. Now, this is a Buckmaster show. I have to stop it pretty often, guys, in between the show. I apologize.
Hello, everybody. Bill Buckmaster with you, off and running on this Friday, July.
To join the Star.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's part of the story. He was frustrated with what he's down here, but obviously didn't live.
Well, my goodness, when you were finally sworn in, it was actually 8 months ago. This been on Tim Steller. Most recent honor is the prestigious Don Bowles Award for Investigative Reporting, presented by the Arizona Press Club. I had the privilege of dining on occasion with Don Bowles at the Arizona Republic building when I worked a long time ago, Tim Steller, for the Associated Press in Phoenix.
Wow.
Back in 1973.
Little known that before he died or was killed, he was considering a move down here to Tucson to join the Star.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's part of the story. He was frustrated with how things were going at the Republic, and I don't know, it was a totally different world then, and he saw some possibilities down here, but obviously didn't live to make the switch.
No. All right, our Friday Focus interview, we welcome back to the program United States Representative Adelita Grijalva, Democrat representing Arizona's Congressional District Number 7. Adelita, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Doing well. My goodness, when you were finally sworn in, it was actually 8 months ago. This, I think, in about 2 days.
Yeah.
So 8 months, how's that transition gone?
I think I've been really
like, oh my God,
fortunate to have a wonderful staff, but also.
Now let me stop right there. Do you know who her staff is? Can you hear me?
Yep, it's the same people her dad has.
Yeah. So basically, she just walked into a situation where her new senior advisor is the mayor of Tucson's husband, right?
Yep.
So if anybody doesn't know what the word nepotism works or is, go ahead and look that up, because this is what she's talking about. She's living like a princess life here.
Friends that I've, that my two, specifically the two members of Congress from New Mexico, Stansberry and Ledger Fernandez, have just really taken me under their wing and helped me to navigate that space. Because as much as people say, well, you must have known Congress, your dad was here 22 years. I always say, if my dad were a pilot, you wouldn't throw me in a cockpit and go. And that's essentially what happened.
Did you hear, what did she say? If I was a pilot?
If her dad were a pilot, you wouldn't want him to throw me in the cockpit and say go.
So is that like the one slogan she has in her head that she keeps telling people? Or, that just seems like the weirdest thing to say, but.
Well, it was a very good, I got to give it to her. That was a really witty answer. She's right. You wouldn't want someone that just because her dad was a pilot to put him in the plane and trust him with your life. So.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, it seems like she looked that up on Google and they're like, give me some good. I can't, why would she has nothing to do with flying a plane or anything. But here we go. Let's get back to it.
And so, I still get lost running around there, running to committee meetings. That process is not something that we did in either the Board of Supervisors in Pima County or Tucson Unified. So we'd have meetings all together. We'd have all of the information together. And so, having subcommittees and committee hearings and having them both happen at the same time, which is very common now, was a little crazy of a transition for me.
And your dad was the chair of the Natural Resources Committee, which you're a member of now. And many of us are concerned about the sustainability going forward with the situation on the Colorado River.
So this whole first part of this episode is all about climate change. That's all they talk about. It's like climate, like the world's going to end tomorrow because of climate change. So here you go. We'll give you a little taste of. This is from the Bill Buckmaster Show, the great Bill Buckmaster.
Will the federal government step in at some point and decide who's going to get what water?
I don't see that happening. I think they really are pushing for the governors, that the states to figure it out. The problem is the upper basin states don't want to take any cut of any percentage of any water. And so as a result, it's looking like Arizona specifically is taking at least a 25% cut, if not more, in some of the scenarios. And especially for Southern Arizona, the bottom half of the distribution is Yuma County, which is literally the lettuce capital of the world. And so I'm hearing from farmers all the time about the concern that they have. And, the fact that we also have these other conversations about having not one, not two, but 3 data centers in Marana that's also taking water. And so water is a sacred resource here. Water literally is life. And when we talk about the reduction, at some point, there's going to be a breaking point. And my fear is that it's going to happen here in Southern Arizona.
Before I give it to you, Tim, just to follow up to the water, is the Central Arizona Project.
See, and this is what I want to start. Everything's fear-based. She's fear. Oh, you got to be scared. Fear that we're going to run out of water. I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way we are even close to running out of water. These people are literally using this fear-based. Climate. They would stop building houses. They would be closing down all the golf courses in town because we're almost out of water. Oh, the water, it's all a bunch of bullshit, in my opinion. Yep. What do you think?
And you could be right about that, because I know I have 2 wells out in Marana. I have a lot of property out in Marana. And I know that when I put the well in there, and I talked to my grandfather, and for years I've known, and my father was a miner in Salmon Well, They had to send engineers down below to watch out for the river. This river that runs under our underground here. They have to watch it because if they ever tapped into that river, every man underground would be dead. They'd drown. If a pump were ever big enough to pump the water out from underground, it would flood Marana. There is a tremendous amount of water under us. I do agree with that. And most of it is fear mongering. The thing that bothers me with that whole thing is nobody ever put the blame where it is. There's a reason we have a less than everybody else, because they had better governors than we have. Okay, these 5 different states negotiate for that water, for the amount. And our governor was late sending in her paperwork on that. And we didn't have a very good governor because, like she said at the beginning, it is up to the governors. So it's really not anything that Adelita can do with or not. But it would have been nice if she would have said the truth there, that we have a bad governor.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, she goes on more about it, and I think, I mean, I'm pretty sure we spent $100 million on climate change.
Oh,
last year.
I did a video on it. Our mayor was out doing it in another country, and why our homeless is growing in our city.
Yeah. All right. Let's
As a
get
matter
back. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, that's when Adelita was on the board of supervisors in September 17, 2024, I actually confronted her on the amount of money they were spending on the migrants coming across the border.
Yeah.
Versus the 400,000 they were spending, they had set aside to spend on the homeless in our city. See, I'm American first. And we shouldn't be taking care of anyone outside of our country as long as there's one homeless person in our streets. So
exactly. No,
move on. You can move on to the next one.
That's how I feel too. I mean, I see these people and they just want to give them a sandwich and say, have a good day. I think we need to get them off the streets and not accept them to just throw their life away. Because some of these, you look at them and I just feel so sorry. And then, how are we supposed to help them? Like me and you, we can't bring them into our house. They go, oh, well, why don't you bring them into your house? Do you know how much our budget for Pima County and City of Tucson, actually City of Tucson is $2.5 billion with a B.
You know how much they're getting for the homeless?
How much?
$70 million a year is what they're receiving in federal money to take care of and address the homeless. That's $32,000 per homeless person. You can look it up, Google it, check it out. It's $70 million a year. And there's approximately 2,000, they say 2,100 homeless in the streets right now. Do the math. It's $32,000 about roughly $32,000 a year. No, that's Tucson.
Well, the agreement, I think, is where we're talking. And right now, when you have upper basin states that are unwilling to really compromise much at all and are expecting, Arizona specifically, California, they're asking us to take the cut. I think as it goes to the end of that distribution, that's what I'm the most worried about for Southern Arizona.
All right, here's Tim Steller.
Just to continue on this topic for a bit, because it's so important. Is there any, obviously conservation is a big deal when it comes to water. Is there any possibility on the horizon of developing new supplies, new sources? Obviously just desalinization is one thing people talk about, whatever other sources there may be. Is there anything you see from your position on this committee?
Not in any.
No, she just says, nope.
Big scope. I don't think that we're looking at a lot of options. And honestly, we're in a drought everywhere. And so, I was.
So Tim, he asked that question because he knows for a fact, I'm sure, I'm taking a guess, that there's ways in the future with this technology that we'll be able to solve the water problem in 50, 100 years, right? And so they use this water to win votes. Let me say that again. They use this water fear. Oh, we're running out of water. Oh, if you vote for me, I'm going to save your water. It's all in my opinion, a big scam.
Talking to, again, Stansberry, who said there used to be, ice on the mountains. It's not there. That's the water source for New Mexico. And so when we don't have enough rain, there are consequences. And so this administration specifically, and quite honestly, it's not just this administration, that have put their head in the sand about, our changing climate. And
so she's talking about putting her head in the sand. But when you want to talk to her about things affecting Americans, she puts her head in the sand.
Trying to figure out ways to prevent some of what we're dealing with now. That didn't happen. So now we're dealing with the consequences. And unfortunately, it is this generation, the next generation, the one after that are going to have to live with those consequences.
See, there's her more fear mongering. Oh, you guys are going to have to, give me a break.
So we dealt with one big issue here, water. When now you've had most of a year in office, what is your perception of what the biggest issues are on the minds of your constituents beyond water? What are the things that they're facing day to day or that they demand of you most?
Well, affordability is a big one. And the fact that, on average, families have spent $2,000 more a year since the beginning of this administration. Once the passage of, we just had a press conference about the passage of the big, horrible bill and the net impact to families, especially working families and those from lower socioeconomic status, they're struggling, really. And then we've had 27,000 people cut off of SNAP benefits, 200.
What do you think about anything if you want to stop it at any time?
I want to talk about that the lies that were said there and the fear mongering that's said there and the attacks on when she says this administration. Now, I did hear about her conversation, this part, so I did go over and do some research on it and do a little fact checking on it. Okay, the food costs have gone up. She's right at the numbers, but they've gone up 25 to 30% since 2020.
Since Biden raised everything.
Since 2020. So these costs were here prior to this administration, and I fact checked all that. And the reason that we have high food costs is because the food costs have risen because of inflation, higher fuel and transportation costs, labor shortages, supply chain disruptions, increased farming costs, and extreme weather. In Arizona, drought, water challenges have added to the pressure. Okay, this all has been going on since 2020, not 2024. So that's fear mongering there.
It's both it's both of the Democrat and Republicans. They both are guilty of not doing what they need to do. And now's the time where people, the public, right? We, the people, are standing up because you're not a politician. You're a business owner. But you just stepped up just like any one of us could, right? Like anyone in the chat right now could say, hey, I'm going to run for office in their little town or something, just like you did, because you're done with it. Is that kind of where you're at today?
Exactly. And I was fortunately, I was in a position in my life where my company is pretty much able to run on its own with a little guidance from my son. That I'm like semi-retired, so yeah. I had the time. I'm young enough, healthy enough to go out and do this, and to beside my against my wife's wishes, as she would have rather gone fishing across the United States and just relax. I love my city. I love my state. My family's been here since the 1800s, and I decided to get involved and fight for our state.
And then, do you have does she want to come say hi? I mean, she's so sweet. Does she want to come say hi?
He said, no, I don't want to talk.
Well, tell her we said hi. I mean, because I know she does a lot of hard work, and you guys are a team, right?
Yes, we are.
And that's the thing is it's you know, everybody has hopefully a good team behind them, and I know you do. So we'll get back to this interview now. Just to let everybody know, it kind of is pretty boring here at the beginning, but she falls off the rocker in my opinion here at the end. And right now she's talking about all the same stuff, climate change. Ah, the world's gonna end. We're gonna run out of water. We're not running out of water, everyone. I hate to tell you.
1,000 of those are children. And so it's not just we want people to live with dignity and be able to, you know, provide for their families. At this point, people are making choices about whether they're going to pay the rent or have food on the table. And in our country, this should not be an issue.
What about Native Americans and their health service? I understand it could be cut off.
Oh, that's the rural health, the
Yes.
clinic here. Yeah, no.
So is that like a big issue? I mean, I know the Native Americans, you know, they need to be advocated for. I think we do a great job, like in my opinion, you know, as far as here in at least Southern Arizona. But
The Native
what
American thing is
so far?
That's what we need to do.
My wife's all of a sudden talking.
Oh, say hi. Say hi.
She's upset because we've been following the American tribes and how they got hurt in the healthcare. And it was because of the fraud in Arizona, which is impacting healthcare, and it's beginning to impact everyone's healthcare. And of course, they'll blame Trump for that one too, and the administration. But the fact is, it happened before Trump ever got into office.
It was with the tribes.
And it was with the tribes, and it was behind COVID. They committed a lot of fraud here in Arizona. Arizona, right now, they're investigating because they have committed, and this is, I was just reading about it, the largest healthcare fraud in the history of our nation happened here in Arizona.
Yeah, and that's why, if you just remember, Kash Patel was in Tucson, Arizona for some reason, and it wasn't for Nancy Guthrie.
No.
Guess where he was?
Well, I'm sure he was investigating the fraud.
He was on he's meeting with the Native Americans.
Yeah.
So back to the article or the interview. And again, this is Bill Buckmaster Communications LLC. All credit to him. We're just reacting to his interview with a government official, Adelita Grijalva.
And they're talking about that, and we're trying to figure out, and all of the tribes have come together, especially Tonotem and Pascuayaqui, to ask, why did our site get selected when we're one of the most utilized sites? Because when you look at that specific facility, that means that people are going to have to travel. Instead of going 30 minutes, they're going to have to come to Tucson or go to Cells or go. I mean, like the spread is pretty significant. And so we're very worried about that and the thousands of people that get their health care at those Indian health centers.
And there's very little recourse for those people then.
No, there isn't. Other than us advocating and demanding that we understand what the process was and to actually have a process.
Now, here's what they don't bring up, because somebody says, you know, we don't give good. I disagree. Natives don't get that great of care. And here's the thing is there's a lot of corruption on these tribes, in these tribes with the chiefs and the people. And that's what I've heard a lot of times. The money doesn't get to the people because it gets pushed other places. Would you agree there might be something with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I've heard it myself. And that's one of the reasons they've changed the tribe around recently, the chiefs. But the problem with the tribes, and I was just talking to some individuals from the Tohono Nation, is that they've been raised and ingrained with socialism, that the government takes care of them. And rather than continuing to just give them, which is destroying them. I mean, to anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, take a drive out to the Tohono Nation. Look at the houses that they have. These houses they belong to the tribe. And each person gets one. I know this because I took my son to look at one because he was entitled to get a house. And we drove around there. and we looked at the houses, and I said, son, it's too far to drive to go to work. So what would happen is he'd live in this house and become dependent on a government, living in a house, be on welfare for the rest of his life till he died. So I said, no, son, it's not a good idea. Brought him back to Tucson. He works for me. And he got himself an apartment, doing really good. And now he's moving in with his brother who just bought a house. I think we need to create jobs, businesses. Maybe it's a medical plaza over by 3 points, over by sales, somewhere between there. Because if we put an urgent care or something there, McDonald's are going to surround it. We'll put a grocery store there. Industry will surround this medical plant. And the children from the reservation will have an opportunity to actually go to work, get a job, and feel capitalism for the first time and get off of the reservation. Like my son had an opportunity because I drove there. I looked at it all with him and I said, son, this is not a good idea. And I took him back home with me. Other kids need an opportunity like that on the tribe.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
but see, what we got to focus on, as much as I get what you're saying, what I'm focusing on is how Adelita Grijalva uses these people.
Oh, yeah.
These are people that are being used to win votes. And who knows what's going on the reservation with these voting booths and their open up special. To me, that's what needs to be exposed, is how they're cozying up to the chief of past, all these different tribes. And because it's all surrounded on money. And then now we got the new casino, which I'm okay with, that's getting built. But to me, the Indian tribes are in bed with Adelita Grijalva. And I don't know if it's legal, but to me, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I hope Kash Patel exposes something, because to me, the way that we're going to go back to the interview, so we're not here all night, but the way she's going to talk about how she's all cozied up with all the natives, and they, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
What I get frustrated about is that individual departments have received in excess of what their budgets have ever looked like. But it's not trickling down into the services that are needed for everyday families. I mean, I just left a roundtable at the Anthem Nation talking about veterans housing. And that program also received cuts long term. Mm-hmm. And so the demands continue to increase, but the resources are less and less. And that's systemic across the board.
Here's Tim Steller from the Arizona Daily Star.
And just going back to the big issues that people are facing in your district, you mentioned affordability. You already talked about water. What are you doing about it? Or are there any accomplishments you can list, or at least initiatives you can talk about?
Yeah, well, we've introduced like 10 pieces of legislation. A lot of them have to do with veterans' visas, education, those kind of things. We've signed on to the Supplemental Security Income Restoration Act, the Right to Read Act. I mean, those are the things that we're putting in, but I've signed on to 315 bills that have been co-sponsored. Unfortunately, what happens is they get co-sponsored and then they don't get a hearing in a committee. So at this point, all we can do is really advocate and vote yay or nay on any of these. And the one thing we did do in a bipartisan way is the housing bill, and that didn't get signed by Trump.
Yeah, can you explain that a little more? Obviously, he said he was more or less using it as leverage, but I think a couple of things that people may not understand that well is A, what the bill is about or would do, and then B, where we go from here.
Well, and again, what I've learned fairly quickly here in this office is that when it's a bipartisan bill, that doesn't mean that either side gets what they want totally. So we don't have everything that we want in that bill, but it's going to help some. And that's better than what's happening now. And so we compromised, and Democrats, Republicans, and both the House and the Senate signed on to this bipartisan housing bill, and it went to Trump's desk for signature. and to sign it and implement it into law. And he refused to sign it because he wants us to vote on the Save America Act, which is essentially going to push out people that are right now eligible to vote.
What do you think about this? She's trying to, of course, divide America. What do you think?
That's all she's ever done is divide America. I mean, which isn't, like I said, one other reason I got into this race was to try and unite everybody.
Yep.
It was, I know it was a bipartisan bill. I also know that we do need it. I believe it got passed today, if I'm right.
It got passed because Trump didn't sign it. He didn't veto it. Didn't sign it.
He didn't veto it or sign it, so it's sitting on his desk. So, waiting to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, as far as the, it doesn't sound like it because of the, she said that she wants illegals to vote basically at the end, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Asking for more stringent identification, essentially a passport, if you've been married and changed your last name. So that isn't going anywhere. And that law is going to go into effect today, sometime, whether he signs it or not.
All right, let's take a break right here. Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva, Democrat from the 7th Congressional District, with us. Tim Steller is here from the Arizona Daily Star. I want to talk about my favorite.
All right, I'm going to fast forward to the next segment here.
To completing over 1,000
and Ocelots. Learn more.
.com to find your
.org. Radio host.
And
congratulations.
To begin, Adelita Grijalva, Congresswoman, also waiting with us as we hope to get some rain very soon. Adelita, one of the things Tim Steller asked on his Facebook page for questions, and one of them that keeps coming up is of course immigration, and this young Russian guy, Vlad, I guess he goes by. They don't want to use his.
Okay, so this is where she goes into this big. I think it's 20 minutes talking about illegal immigrants, or not 20, maybe like 10.
Last name, but he's going to be deported back, I guess, to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And he's at one of the detention facilities. And that's the one with the measles outbreak?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and the wife has been quoted that in another article saying that he did.
So basically, she's advocating for some guy that is going to be deported to Russia, right? And we got 2,300 people on the street homeless right now. And she's worried about one guy. Now, God bless this guy. I hope his life turns around and something happens good for him. But she's worried about Vlad from Russia. Well, we got Bill that's living on the streets.
Does have measles. And
and then people are bringing in measles into our country.
Yeah, that's it. Before you start, I want to say something about that right there. Okay, this is the problem with this illegal immigration that they did in the last, from 2020 till Trump took office. They had anybody and everybody just coming across. They were not checking them for measles. Okay, how do you get measles? They weren't checking for COVID. They weren't checking for measles. They weren't checking for anything. They were just bringing them into our country. So why would we feel bad that he had measles? That's the thing when she said that, that's all I could think. Okay. You didn't care when they brought him into our country.
Yep.
Which is part of immigration. That's why we have legal immigration, so that poor Vlad doesn't catch measles.
Well, and the thing is it's all this emotional talk. There's no real damn talk. It's all just emotional stuff. Come in and come back. It's all emotional stuff. Let's wait for him to bring back before we start. Let me check the chat. There he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, we're going to play this up right now.
So it's quarantine. Yeah, he's in quarantine, and that because he's in quarantine, it should delay he was scheduled to be deported on the 30th. And Florence right now is basically in a shutdown because of the measles outbreak.
So
literally we have a measles outbreak in Florence and she's worried about Vlad.
Called, if I'm not mistaken, for all deportations to be halted while there's a measles outbreak.
In a little bit, she calls for the abolishment of ICE.
Break. Is that what you said? Or
No. that had to do with well, yes, I think all deportations, everyone should stay here. But specifically, the most recent press release was about families they're saying that they're going to be deported.
Damien,
they're going to be moved.
Yeah.
You should have stopped right there. Did you hear what she said? Yes, I think all deportation should be stopped. Does she not know some of those are child rapists?
She doesn't care. It's all about she just
you might have let's give her 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 little grain. Maybe there's a couple in there that maybe shouldn't be in there. Maybe there's 100 that shouldn't be in there, okay? But the largest majority that are in there you wouldn't want with your children. You wouldn't let them babysit your children. We'll just say that. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I mean, everybody knows America was built on immigrants, but the way that they did this was not the way that it was built. And now we're having to burden all this. A lot of the reasons things went up with the rent and all that crap was because guess who was getting the money and getting the housing?
The migrant.
Yeah. So that they actually pushed it all up because we weren't able to get it because it was already taken by the immigrants. It still is. That's why it's not going down, because they're taking up a lot of that money as well. But the main thing is a lot of them are good people. They're not all bad people. We know that. Yeah. But the way that Adelita Grijalva, she basically set up the system for all these people to come into America. And now she's complaining about all the problems that it's caused to America and blaming it on other people when she's actually responsible, in my opinion.
Yep, like the measles.
Yep, it's, emotional fear mongering. That's what she and her family lives on.
From here to Louisiana or to Dilley, Texas. Okay. And so that was the most recent press release.
So I think if, as Bill was referencing I always do this post before I'm going to be on here to see what people want to know about. And I think if there's one criticism I hear of you more than any other, it's that Adelita Grijalva cares more about people who are here illegally or something like that than she does about the citizen residents of her own district, that she's always out there passionately going after, defending these people in detention, but not helping us out here on the ground.
Yeah, I have to push back on that. I
have to push back on that a little bit. Do you see how much he was struggling to ask the question?
There are certain things that is a responsibility, where it's our responsibility and obligation as members of Congress. We're the only ones that can go and conduct oversight in any of these detention facilities. And when you hear the stories of people whose rights are being blatantly violated, you have to speak up for it. And I will give you an example of Herman. He was in the Florence detention.
So far, he asked about American citizens. Tell me what do you care about American citizens? So far, we're at 45 seconds of her talking about all she's doing for illegal immigrants. Not one thing about American citizens.
Facility. I visited him. He'd been there at that point almost 4 months. He was in his application was there for his legal permanent residence.
So she's talking about one person when we got over 2,300 people with mental health, addiction, actual Americans living on the streets.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Damien. She cherry-picked one individual, and we don't even know if she's telling the truth. I'm telling you, how many... The officer, I listened to her. She was talking about that one guy. What was his name, honey? The one that ran over the ice, ran into the ice car, ran over it. He just got killed.
Yeah.
She was just talking and defending this guy who
Oh, yeah.
literally tried to kill an officer.
Yeah, no, she'll defend. Yeah, anybody who. Yeah, exactly. She jumps on the the bandwagon of these people. We got to save them, but then she ignores every American. Hey, little
That's
fella.
what I'm doing. That's what we're doing. Oh, you need. Okay, well, you got to deal with him. I guess I'm stuck with the kid for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you should be fine.
The officer, when he was detained, that his application was going through. He was just waiting for it to be processed. He's like, that doesn't matter. You're here illegally now, which was not true. So they kept him in a facility. And he still cannot talk about that experience without his breaking, his voice breaks. And when I saw him in detention, I mean, you could just tell that he was just broken, and he had been in this country for over 20 years, had a business, had a wife, 3 children who are citizens. And this gentleman came up to me when my son was getting his confirmation at church, and
I mean, she's really hard to listen to. I mean, I understand that she advocates for these people in detention, but here's what it happened, right? They broke the law. Unfortunately, it's just the way it goes, and they can go back to their country, maybe do something for a couple years and apply to come back.
But actually, them getting deported, it'll be many years before they could apply to come back, if ever. But most of these people can never apply to come back because they're dangerous fugitives. But
yeah, no, I'm talking about the ones that are just, they broke the
Trump
law.
Actually, and they had a choice to leave. Those ones had a chance to leave. They were going to get a plane ticket out, and they would have been put in the front of the line to come in here the legal way.
Yep.
And that's what they should have done, but they chose not to.
He said, they let me out. And I looked at him and I did not recognize him. It's like, it's me, Herman. He was there with his wife and his children, and grandchild was getting confirmed with my kid. And he said, and they gave me my legal permanent residence a week after they let me out. So this man was such a huge risk to our safety of our nation that he got his legal permanent residence a week after he was released after being detained for 4 months.
4 months.
Those are the kind of stories that we're hearing every day. We have cases of people calling us. 70% of the cases have to do with DACA and some sort of immigration issue. So those are the cases that are coming to our office from constituents in our district. So we are responding to every single request for any help. But when over 70% of the cases are immigration, that's going to be our focus.
So basically, do you remember what the question was?
Yep.
The question was, do you care more people? I don't know how he phrased it. I'm paraphrasing, Tim. But,
about constituents, Arizona constituents. Yeah.
People say that you care more about Arizona citizens than you do about illegal immigrants, something like that. Now, she has went on for over 2.5 minutes about illegal immigrants.
Yeah. Yeah. What it was is the people are saying you care more about illegal immigrants than you do United States citizens.
And I'm going to fight back anytime anyone's rights are being violated, period.
She didn't fight for my rights being violated.
She didn't fight for my rights being violated either. And I did 9.5 years, and I had a family, and I had children. And I don't remember ever coming in, and 30 years later, the state admitted that I didn't have a conviction. But what she's reminding me of, and people need to realize this, I don't know how many of you out there remember 2010 when Raul Grijalva put a boycott on Arizona and put illegals in front of the citizens of Arizona. People were upset. He almost lost the race that year. And that's the hill that Adelita's looking to die on.
Yep.
And people see it coming. They just see it coming. And I'm letting you all know, remember the boycott of Arizona.
Yep.
And it needs changed.
We've never affected. We never recovered from that.
Where's the oversight for these camps, these detention facilities?
Oh, I can't even tell you.
So we're talking more about illegal immigration and the camps and this and that, but she has not said one thing about a Tucson citizen. Have you heard one thing about?
How many letters I've co-signed with other members of Congress individually by myself to DHS to find out, like, what is the process? What are you doing? They just don't even respond. I've never received a response. And that is something that is not happened, as I understand it, in speaking with other members of Congress. When you write a letter, when a member of Congress asks for information, it is the responsibility of that department to write back, and they just don't.
Does it seem like the...
Now, let me stop it there, because I think I remember about 3 weeks ago, you tried to reach Adelita Grijalva. And did she call you back or email you back because you were trying to help?
I called Adelita about a DACA that had been deported, and he did. He had committed some crimes, no serious crimes, but he did get deported. Nobody was complaining about his being deported. What the family wanted to know, and Adelita absolutely did not return my phone call, even though I was called by the family. They asked me because they thought Adelita would be more apt to respond back to me than them, because she's not really good at responding back to people. And I said, you're probably right. And I thought about calling Juan Ciscomani, because at least he's he gets back to me, and we have a friendship. But I said, you know what? Adelita's the one that'll jump on this. And they were probably right. She would probably call me back quick. So I called and left her a message and asked her to call me back. And that was probably a month and a half ago. I have heard nothing back from Adelita. All the family wanted to know is they were told, I went to their funeral and everything, the young man's funeral with the family. They asked me to, and I went. They wanted to know, they wanted the medical reports. And they weren't releasing them to the family, so they wanted to know if someone can get involved and try and get them their medical reports. So all the family wanted, and so I made a phone call to Adelita.
No callbacks.
No callbacks.
So she's talking about, she cares so much about all these illegal immigrants, and then you have a situation you're trying to help out a doctor.
There's no camera time.
Okay.
ICE raids have gone. They're trying to, I don't know, a little more subtle, if that's a possibility.
I think that under NOM, they were more blatant. They were like in your face,
Right.
Look at us in this show of power.
Mm-hmm.
Under this new leadership, what they're doing is they're still doing the deportations and they're still trying to get people, but not standing out in a corner and looking at, what you look like. But we just saw a case in Houston where a man
Why are we talking about Houston?
and was shot, and he wasn't even the target of an investigation. So, they really are a lawless organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I've called for the abolishment of ICE.
Right there, she calls it. That's why she calls for an abolishment of ICE. And then now she talks about, once she abolishes ICE, what she wants.
What would you do? So if ICE were abolished, what would you establish to kind of fill the necessary gaps in our bureaucracy, i.e. related to immigration status, and even deport? I should ask you this. Well, I'll let you go with that. Yeah.
I think that the bigger issue is we need to modernize our ports of entry and leave CBP officers at the ports of entry. What I think is incredibly frustrating, and I've heard this from businesses up and down from Nogales, there's another secondary stop, for immigration status when you're leaving Nogales. Well, why don't we do it right the first time? And
so she's just talking about that, but she will not talk about the cartel and the illegal immigration where the cartel's in business. they're basically, in business with American citizens too.
And
Have
give
you ever
them the
heard-
the supplies and
Have you ever heard cartel out of her mouth or her husband or her father's? Ever. Never.
No. Nope.
services and technology that they need in order to do a thorough investigation at the border. I think that is where our resources need to go, because we also have an issue with things coming in through our ports of entry that shouldn't. And so we don't have enough resources there. A lot of CPP officers are leaving CPP to go to ICE with this false promise that they're going to get some sort of bonus. That is not happening, by the way. And so then they try to come back to the different departments, and those hirings are being frozen. I mean, I think that there is a function of making sure that we are safe, but some of that has to do with online presence, with the infiltration of ideas coming out from internationally that we're not catching here, interference with our elections. All of that is happening. Let's focus on what we know is happening versus trying to other our immigrant communities and make them feel like they're not a part of the foundation of where we are.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if I may follow, it made me wonder when you were talking about these different categories of people, is there a group who you think should be deported? That is,
all it is about illegal immigrants. There's not one thing that you can find about Arizonans.
Well, here's the thing, Damien. She wants to address the port of entry. She also wants to stop the wall.
Yeah.
See, and I made this comment when we were running that she has no idea what's going on the border. She made the comment that there were 3 ports. There's 6 ports and then several smaller ports, but there's 6 main ports across the border. She only knew of 3. Okay. And she'd never been on that border. So for her to say we just need to fix the ports and not finish the wall is insane. She doesn't know what she's doing. She had no business being in control of the southern border because she doesn't even know the southern border. And I could never see her walk any of that border.
Nope.
Photo op at the port of entry, and that's it.
Yeah, no, she's definitely one of the fakest leaders I've ever seen. The way she talks, everything, you can tell she's basically like a puppet she has no concept of what American citizens are going through. It's all illegal immigrants.
given level of crime, who are not in the country legally or something like that.
But let's talk about the crime, right? Because right now, what ICE is saying is that the crime is that you're in this country illegally, whatever that looks like. Many of the people that are here in this country, the reason why ICE can go to their door is because they know where they are.
Yeah.
Like they've gone to court hearings. They're trying to go through a process. So what frustrates me the most is when people say, well, they should do it the legal way. There is no process that is working right now. So let's fix that. Let's do comprehensive immigration reform, really do it this time. We obviously...
What do you think? I mean, to me, she's the one who created this problem, and now she wants to fix it.
Yep. Well, I can tell you this: at the end of the wall, they had a Skylink there. Okay, and on there, anybody could enter in, and it said it actually had backdoor 44. That was the password to the Starlink enter. And I started to go into it, and I was with a guy, Border Patrol, that said, you don't want to go into that. And the reason you didn't want to go into that, because the minute you go lock into that Starlink, they now know where you are because of your phone. Not because they're going to court, because they checked in at the Starlink at the gate. So... just figure out.
I think a no-brainer and the most low-hanging fruit are DACA, people that have had DACA, but also anyone else who would qualify. Because 14 years ago, we also stopped taking applications. So there's a broken immigration system here, and we have to fix it. And it is not the fault of the people that are in this country, because they've asked for asylum at the border. They've used the processes that existed that we provided as a nation to other people coming in looking for shelter. TPS is another one. I think that's a big deal.
Stop it.
You see how she manipulates everything. She manipulates this.
Okay, the people at the border that checked in to get asylum, they broke the law before they asked for asylum. They were already illegal. You're required to go to a port of entry and request asylum.
Yep.
Okay. Not in the middle of the desert at the border. Crossing the border is illegal. And when you come in and then you ask for asylum, yes, they can ask for asylum. The problem is you just broke immigration law. So technically you're not entitled to receive it, and you're supposed to be deported because you broke the law. It's trespassing. So,
yeah.
Just to follow up on that. So I understand you're saying that the system is broken, and that's truly obviously been true for a long time. But and I also hear you saying that the crime of being or civil violation of being in the country illegally should not be the basis for a deportation proceeding.
A misdemeanor? Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. But what about if you move on to felonies or severe misdemeanors like domestic violence or what have you? Is that something that you would think somebody should be deported for?
If there's a conviction.
Yeah.
If there's a conviction. And I think if that process is fair, that's part of the problem is right now we are so backlogged in everything that when we say people have been waiting for a court hearing for 20 years, that's not uncommon. That's really not, that to me is a sadder statement. And the fact that we don't have the infrastructure set up, I think that we should do something, I think, pretty radical. People might think it's pretty radical. I don't. You pick a point in time 15 years ago and saying, if you've been in this country for 15 years, and you have not committed a crime, you can show you're paying your taxes, you have a family, you're stable, you're contributing to our community, you're a citizen.
Oh, you're a citizen.
You're that guy. You're a citizen. I don't understand why we need to make people go through this really convoluted process, spend thousands and thousands of dollars that they don't have. And then we can focus on if someone has committed a crime, if someone is accused of murder. That to me makes sense.
So it would be like
it's not a blanket everyone come through, and I'm also not an open borders person either. So I mean, I think that there's a lot of misnomer.
She's not an open borders person anymore because she just let them come in. So she's got all her new voters. She's got all this, I mean, there was over 120 million that they received from the government to help these people come into America.
Having spoken to her when all this was happening and confronted her while she was the chair, letting down Pima County, and I can't believe they elected her to go to a higher level when she failed Pima County. Heck, she failed the school district before she failed Pima County. But that's neither here nor there. She was absolutely an open border. Her dad was an open border.
Yep. So that's a big lie.
Where's out there about when people are trying to push comprehensive immigration reform and what that means. That's what I mean. I mean that there should be a legal process that we actually stick to as a nation and not keep changing the rules on people.
Do you think we can ever get to that point?
She basically changed the rules on America. Yep. In my opinion, she committed treason with Sheriff Nanos, with all the other people who signed off and basically set up the system for these people. So it was like a conveyor belt of people. They come into the border, they get seen by the Border Patrol, and then they get shipped up to Tucson, and then Pima County Sheriff protected them. Well, Pima County used their NGOs to ship them out to other NGOs to take care of them. And then they took all our housing. They literally jumped on SNAP, so our SNAPs went up. And then now she's blaming that it's everybody else's fault. She actually set up the system.
Yep.
For a comprehensive immigration reform?
The one thing I think is really interesting is that Democrats stuck together on two issues.
What were they?
Healthcare, the Affordable Care Act, subsidies, and immigration, and putting some reins on ICE. We did. And so I think that there is that. I don't believe that would have happened even 4 or 5 years ago in Congress. So there are more and more people that are acknowledging the fact that this system is corrupt. This is the system that is hurting people.
She doesn't want to talk about anything that's happening with her district being corrupt and the cartel, like your wife said. Has she ever mentioned the word cartel? Have you ever heard her say it one time?
You never will. But I got to say something. She's talking about immigration reform, and we keep changing the rules. We've never changed the rules. Only she's changed the rules. The law's been the law. The only thing that changed is we quit enforcing the law. And that's why we now have a problem. Nothing changed except that they quit enforcing the law.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I gotta say this because she sounds like her father all over again. For 24 years, even the last interview, even up to his last interview, I'm going in there to fix immigration. 24 years he ran on, I'm going to fix immigration, and she's already doing the same song and dance. Guess what, people? They're never going to fix immigration. They need it to run on.
Yep.
Neither the Republicans or the Democrats are ever going to fix immigration. You need to elect people who don't want to be a politician, who just want to go in there and fix things because they don't care if they get fired the following year. That's who you need to hire.
Exactly.
Left and right. And when, some of the comments that I read about what people perceive my positions are is a little bit crazy. But also, even the idea that for me to fight for somebody whose rights are being denied and whose rights are being trampled on, that's part of my responsibility, and I'm going to continue to do it proudly.
There seems to be a move now to call Democrats socialists, communists. How do you react to that?
I'm a Democrat. Mm-hmm. I am a I have a progressive agenda that I'm pushing, and it really is a working families agenda. So,
it's a word. You hear all these little buzzwords.
Yeah, I'd like to know how it's a working man's agenda. I would love to see her lay out how this helps the working man. I really would. Because guess what? I am the working man. And I can guarantee you what she wants to do will not help the working man. It would destroy small business.
Well, the thing about it is her philosophy, this progressive philosophy in Tucson, has literally held back generations like your grandson. If he grows up in Tucson, he's not going to have the same opportunity as another like Phoenix or Chandler or Gilbert. These people,
and our kids are all leaving.
I
they're going somewhere else because this CD7 is so poor, and the progressiveness is only destroying it further and making the job less affordable. That our children are leaving. And that's another reason I got into this race, Damien, is because I want our CD7 to thrive. I don't want our children to leave, but that's where they're going.
Yeah. And she doesn't care because it's all about power, keeping the machine rolling with this. Obviously, her father, she stepped into her father's shoes, and now her senior advisor is Mayor Romero's husband. And Mayor Romero's husband used to work for Raul Grijalva. It's a big, literal, like they say, no kings, no queens.
It's called cronyism.
We have that going on here.
Yep.
If me saying that people should have healthcare, quality healthcare, accessible and not have to go into debt, Medicare for all, I believe all that. I believe in the Green New Deal. I believe that we need to move towards more environmentally conscious ways. I believe in public education. So if those are
and the public education, the school district that she used to work for is one of the worst in Arizona as far as attendance and this kind of thing.
Radical ideas, then I'm radical.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about this? On that same line, a lot of people who are affiliated with Democratic Socialists of America are running, which is not in most places a political party, but it's just an organization. Mm-hmm. And they're running as Democrats, and in some places that's been a division point in primaries. What do you think about that? Is it kind of similar?
I think any party, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, there are, there's a range. Mm-hmm. There's some people are more moderate, some people are not. I've seen it with Republicans, with the Freedom Caucus, and it's a smaller group. I think that regardless of what party you're in, you have a smaller subset that is pushing an agenda. And I believe that the working families agenda and pushing for affordability and public education and
all the buzzwords that she's got to touch, you know, and that's the thing is all this is just a bunch of rehearsed talking points. It means actually nothing because she's going to go in there and basically just toe the political party line, whatever her friends tell her to vote on. Oh, this is what you got to do. And, I mean, I think we both know, we see what's going on in Tucson. Has she even said the word Tucson one time in this Tucson citizens or Pima County residents or anything?
She did mention Pima County earlier on.
One time.
Yeah.
you know, clean air and water, that those
But this is a so far 30-minute interview.
those are things, and fighting for our democracy, those are things that overall people believe in. And so that's something that I feel comfortable doing. And I think that, you know, when my dad was in Congress, him and Keith Ellison started the Progressive Caucus, and there were 2 of them, maybe 3. Mm-hmm. And now we have over 100 members that are all pushing a more progressive agenda. And
what do you have to say about that? So she's basically, they're not hiding it anymore. It's all out in the open. They're started with 2. Now they got 100, and they're pushing forward. You know, they want to let children change their sexes. You can be a boy or a girl. You get to choose now.
They want to codify that one into law. I actually did a forum with her, and I put it out there. I think it's wrong. I don't think children should have the right to change their agenda. I mean, their gender until they're at least 18 years of age. Their brains don't develop till they're 25. That's what a lot of people figure, 25. We don't let them drink till they're 21 because their minds aren't developed. But we're going to let a 14-year-old decide their gender and then take the rights from the parents because you've codified it into law. So the parents have no say. The school goes ahead and changes your child's gender.
Yeah. No, it's, and I mean,
that's
obviously,
progressivism.
Yeah.
I think that is resonating with the electorate. And I believe that leadership in our party, leadership in both parties, need to pay attention to what people are wanting.
All right, Adelita Grijalva.
Well, she doesn't pay attention to anything about what Arizona wants. It's all about what her political party wants. It's, I mean, everything she has talked about has nothing to do with making Arizona better.
Nope.
Alva is our Friday Focus interview. Adelita Grijalva, Democrat, Congressional District Number 7. Tim Steller is here from the Arizona Daily Star. We're in the Green Things Zocalo Village studios. Our live line, a telephone live line presented by Rincon Ventures.
And you hear how they said their live line?
Yeah.
Guess who tried to call?
You.
And guess who never answered?
Them.
I tried for like 10 minutes. I said, look, get me on the phone with this woman. Let me talk to her. And they didn't even pick up the phone. And so he's got a sponsor for a line that he's not even picking up.
Real estate and property management. Tim, do you have something else for the Congresswoman before we let her go?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I find it interesting, this agenda and how whether a more progressive agenda can kind of paradoxically reach a broader spectrum of voters. That seems to be what you're saying, that like if you run on the issues and not a label, that you can reach people that maybe even aren't Democrats. Is that what you're saying?
I think that it's going to resonate with more people the more and more these policies are hurting. So I don't believe that corporations have benefited, very wealthy people have benefited from that big ugly bill, but we haven't in Arizona. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what party you are, you're spending $2,000 more a year on things that used to be more affordable. That's a fact. So we are not progressing as a nation with the policies that are in place now. And I would rather look at...
I'm pretty sure we're progressing. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever checked their 401k or, I'm sorry that everybody's not, doing the best, right? But there's more opportunity in this world right now than ever. And we got people like this that's willing to, give out handouts so they can pay. Oh, hey, but you can't make any money. Here's your $500, but you
if you
can't make
want to progress in this country, you got to go to work and stop taking all the bullshit that the Democrats are giving you, that everything's free. You can have it. Just lay on your fat, lazy ass. No, that's not how it works. It works as you go to freaking work.
I agree.
Here's the thing. We're dealing with a woman who's never worked, or at least to the best of my knowledge, she's never worked in the private sector. Okay, she's never done anything in the private sector. She's never signed a paycheck, so she doesn't even know how business works. That big, beautiful bill that she keeps wanting to brainwash everyone into believing that it was only for billionaires and millionaires was for small business owners just like me. Right. I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire. So she lied to the people when she said that. And she's done it before, and I've called her out in a forum over it before, because it is a bold-faced lie.
Yeah, well, everybody knows that she was the daughter of Raul Grijalva here in Tucson, and he was like, people thought he was like the next Jesus Christ, I swear. Oh, it's Raul Grijalva. Oh. So imagine how she grew up. Oh, you're Raul Grijalva's daughter. You're the princess. And now here she is. She's never, like you said, she's never raised or built a business. It's all basically, handed down information. Hey, you gotta act like this. You gotta do this. You gotta be against, Republicans, essentially, instead of working with anybody. It's all against dividing people. And there's no, as she said, hey, I'm willing to work with people so we can make Tucson better.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
And she's run her whole, and I hope people wake up and understand. If you go in I you know me for a while, Damien. Yeah, I don't go in and I don't attack Democrats. I don't attack anybody. I'm just not that kind of a person. I'm a businessman. Okay, I've been doing sales for years and years, and you never go in and attack your competitors or anybody, because you have to work with everybody. You have to negotiate with people.
Exactly.
And if you're attacking the people that you got to go in there and negotiate with, you're not going to do very good at the negotiation. And she has spent her entire life attacking half of the people of Arizona.
Yeah. And her family has. It's in her blood. It's all about, their revolution. If you remember her father's history, he's all about, their revolution, their La Raza. Remember La Raza?
Yeah, I remember.
So they try to hide behind all this stuff, and everybody's afraid to speak up. And I'm not like, the only reason I'm speaking up is because people need to know who these people really are. These are not the Hispanics that I know. No, these are not my Hispanic friends. She reminds me of like, like the I don't want to be negative, but like the weirdest like left-wing people that might be good people, but they believe so far left stuff that it doesn't even affect, it's not reality with the fellow Americans. It's so out there, and then she's trying to push it as mainstream. This is not mainstream stuff.
No, she's a small fraction. And then you have in the Republican side, you have a small fraction that when these two groups get going, they sound the same. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but I've listened and I've even thought, are they Republican or are they Democrat, liberals? Because they're so radical and extreme that they remind me of a radical extreme on the left.
It's a reaction. It's a reaction. It's because they're so far left, and there's some people that there's no discussion anymore. Like
No.
I would be willing to work with anybody, and I know you would too. Anybody. I don't care if they're green, purple, red, blue, pink, right? But the problem is they won't work with us,
No,
in my
they won't.
opinion.
No, you're right. And here's the thing. Her idea that she's going to attract more people to her. I actually think she's losing more people because there are a lot of Democrats out there right now that are waking up saying, these people are crazy. And I know that because they've called me and upset that my name wasn't on their ballot.
Yep.
Only Grijalva's is on it. Well, that's because you're a Democrat. You can't vote for me in the primary. However, you can vote for me in the general.
All right.
I've spoken to Democrats that are not happy with what they're seeing.
Yeah, and that's what we're being real here. If she would come on my show, I would like to interview her, but she would never do that.
No.
Things like universal child care, really improving our public education system, infrastructure supports. Those are things that we need to do. Research, believe in science.
Yeah.
I mean, those are things that people want us to see, because I have to say, my parents, both of them, grew up in a Superfund site. And it's not an accident that my dad, my nana, my tata, my tias have died of cancer. I've had a hysterectomy early. I mean, these are all facts that are now part of my life and part of our kids' lives, because we grew up in a site where people were drinking poison water.
You're talking about the TCE.
Yes, but
area.
it's happening. We have PFAS. I joined Summer Lee and Rashida Tlaib to start the equality, like the Environmental Justice for All caucus. The reason why we did that is because it is something that is spreading all over the nation. And the more this administration pushes.
So it sounds like she's making money off of this because it's spreading all over the nation. So now she's got to talk about it.
Mining pushes pollution and pushes profits over people. We're going to see more and more of it. So we need to have a system that's going to advocate for people. And I am going to do my best to do that.
Who are?
What
I want to talk about that.
I
want to talk about that. I got to point something out to people right now. And you can go back and look at this. It was I believe it was a PBS, and we talked. Adelita and I talked, and they asked us about Patagonia and the mines there. And Adelita was talking about how they didn't want it there. It's poisoning everybody, and yada yada yada. The wells are contaminated. Yeah, okay. Well, they asked me what my thoughts were on it, and I said, to be honest with you, I was planning to go speak with them on, I think it was a Wednesday. Anyways, it was I'd done the debate. It was a couple of days after the debate that I was going to go speak. And I was honest, and because I try to always be honest, I said I don't have the answer to that, and I didn't. But I wound up going to Patagonia, and I wound up talking to the mayor and the town manager, and we had a great conversation. In that conversation, everything Adelita said was a lie. Everything she said was a lie. Patagonia absolutely wanted that mine, and they told me why. Prior to that mine being there, the town was getting $200,000 a year from the businesses, revenue, okay? After the mine came, they're getting over $1 million a year in revenue. So they want that mine there. The only concern they had that the mayor had told me about was the noise. They didn't like the noise. And they were worried about the air, but not that they had seen anything of it, but they wanted to make sure that there was regulations checking to make sure there was no particles going in the air. But they absolutely wanted that mine there because it was bringing them in revenue.
We need to have some money coming here into Southern Arizona. I mean, when you see how much money is up in Maricopa County, and then our elected leaders, they make it so hard for anything to happen down here. that nobody wants to move in here. They don't even think about Tucson. And so now, you know, there is no jobs. People are having to go on to, you know, Access or, you know, whatever, you know, whatever state funding. WIC. Yeah. I mean, and so the thing is they're building in a
He said it.
yeah, they're building in like, you know, federal dollars to come in here and not giving these people a road to be successful because they know there's not enough good jobs here. And so people have to go on to, you know, social services.
Okay, can I say something, Damien? On SNAP, of course, we don't want children to go hungry, but they found so much fraud in not just our state, but all states. Okay, but they gave the states time to rectify it and do what's right. But our governor decided that she would just cut them all off now because if there is any overage, the state's going to have to pay for it. And she stopped it. Remember that.
Yep.
She stopped it. And so it's not the Republicans that are stopping the SNAP. It's the governor and the Congress and the legislature and the smaller districts in this state that are stopping it because they don't want to pay.
Yeah.
They don't want to take care of it. They've been on it for too long.
Yep. And that's the thing. There's so many people that, you know, like when I was younger in my 20s, me and my boy's mom at the time, we had to go on it. We had to go on it. This must have been like, it was probably like 2000, 2001. And then we got off it. But when we had it, it was needed. It was like, cause a job was lost or something like that. But these people are on it for years and years, you know what I mean? And then they get multiple family members going in it I think it is a big needed. I think it just got taken advantage of big time.
Yep.
Democrats looking to on the national level as a leader.
I don't know that we are. I mean, respectfully, you know, I think of the House Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries is the leader, and I think he's trying to do what he can to bring together individuals who are different, have differing opinions. But I think that's the same for anybody that's ever been in this position. And so I think that he's doing a good job trying to balance it. I think our messaging has to be stronger. And when Democrats get the House in January, we have to do something with that quickly. That's the one thing I think that we learned from the Republican Party is they had a plan. It was diabolical, horrible plan for working families, but they implemented it. So we have to do something on that kind of big scale where we're going to really help people right away.
Tim Steller.
So basically, if the Democrats get back in office, they're basically going to just tear our whole country back apart to try to implement something because it's their plan. Is that what you kind of got out of that?
Yep. Bob! Sorry, she got somebody here.
Oh, we're going on, Bill? Okay. I didn't realize that.
No,
okay,
we're going to go on.
That's fine. We can go on forever. I'll stay here all day.
Okay.
No, the thing that sticks with me from what you've said today, or from what I've seen and talking to people at food banks, is the SNAP benefits. And I know that's the loss in Arizona being the biggest one. The loss of enrollees is the biggest one in the country. And that's largely a result of how DES is operating, I believe. But I don't know. Is there anything that you all can do to at least get the people who are still eligible to get the benefits that they're due, as opposed to not getting them, which is what's happening now?
All it is about illegal immigrants, people that are basically poor. And I have a lot of compassion. I'm not saying, but have you heard anything about the middle class?
No.
Oh,
the other thing she said about the middle class is the working class is when she was talking about how Trump gave all the money to the billionaires and millionaires, and I made a comment about that because it's just not true. It helped the middle class.
I mean, the only problem is there's some areas in the country that don't have good job opportunities, like Tucson and Pima County. If you go up to Maricopa, do you know how many amazing jobs are up there? I'm talking, you don't even have to have a degree, but if you do have a degree, I mean, so many jobs. And here, it's literally like, I mean, our poverty rate is like top 10, I think, in America, as far as like cities our size.
Was a knee-jerk reaction to the federal government's threat that if there was any overpayment of SNAP benefits, that you would be on the hook as a state to pay it. And so there was, I think, a narrowing of criteria that was obviously more aggressive than needed to be. But what we're going to have the same problem is that underpayment is also an issue. So we're still going to be charged either way. So I wanted to see more and more people that qualified and have always qualified to do that, to get those SNAP benefits, because our community food banks cannot sustain the demand. I mean, they truly can't. And also
create some freaking jobs so people can actually make a good living. She's like, she can't wait to get people on SNAP benefits. Oh, let's free.
The benefit was cut back significantly. I mean, I was there when a mom and 2 children came to get a box of food, and you could hear things rattling inside. Those used to be full boxes. I remember when we would volunteer at Teen Court, volunteers.
And you see how she's using this emotional bull crap. There's plenty of food at the damn food bank, okay, everybody? You could go there 7 days a week, and you'll never be denied, ever.
Board of Supervisor, those boxes were...
Like, if you've seen the budget of the Southern Arizona Community Food Bank, have you seen how much money that...
They had so much food that there were churches gathering it because they needed to send it out somewhere. They had too much.
Filled to the rim.
They have plenty of food, but they use this emotional bullshit that she always uses.
Yeah.
And not one thing has she talked about bringing new jobs to America or to Arizona or Tucson. Anything about, hey, we're fixing up, the crime problem, the cartel. She completely ignores illegal immigration. She doesn't talk about the coyotes. It's like she completely ignores it.
And now a family of 3 is supposed to walk out of there, and this is supposed to help them for a month. That won't even help for 2 days. So, and we also had a lot of funding that was swept that had to do with food banks being able to buy directly fresh produce and vegetables from our farmers. We no longer have that funding available either. So there are a lot of pieces that have really hurt overall working people, and trying to build those things back into the budget is going to be the challenge that we take on.
If the Democrats do take the House, and it looks more and more like that will happen, what kind of 2 years will Donald Trump's final 2 years in office look like?
Very frustrating for him, I'm sure.
So this is what her plan is happening. She wants to make it just as miserable as she can for Donald Trump. She's going to fight. And then here's what's going to happen. We're going to keep going down the drain. We're going to keep circling because they have so much division. They're not even willing to have any sort of like work together plan.
A lot of, I mean, I can only imagine how much he's going to try to have an influence on our election. I think that's a very scary process for me. So much of, him holding certain bills hostage, like the housing bill for the Save America Act, where he's trying to make it seem as if there is rampant, the people that are ineligible to voting, which is just completely untrue, completely untrue. And so I do think that Arizona has a really great way to monitor where our ballots are and when they're coming. And I think that, we should share this information across the nation because we're doing a really good job here in Arizona.
All right, before we let you,
a really good job at maybe possibly cheating.
how do you like the travel?
I just was wondering why it was such a terrifying thing for her, for people to have to show ID to vote. I don't see what the terrifying thing was.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
I don't.
There's no, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So just for an example, I leave Monday. I leave my house at like 5:00 a.m.
5 a.m.
Get to DC about 5 p.m. And votes start at 6:30. And then I come back whenever votes are over. So 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to be there for 4 days, canceled the last 2 days of votes. So I came home 2 days early, which I don't mind. I mean, I obviously want to see my husband and kids, but the frustration for me is that all of us are sacrificing. This is an important job. It's a privilege to do, but it's also a sacrifice for your family. And so, for us to get all the way over there and, be working for a day and a half and then be sent home, it's just so inefficient and ineffective and doesn't help anybody. So my hope is I leave on Monday and I'm scheduled to come back on Thursday. As soon as
oh my God, I cannot stand her voice.
votes are over.
I'm glad this is over.
I get on a plane and come back home. Southern Arizona is home. And in order for me to be a good advocate for Southern Arizona, I have to be home as often as possible.
All right, Tim.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Oh, do you think anything is going to change with your district as a result of the Supreme Court rulings? And come the next, obviously the district will change in the next redistricting.
During independent redistricting, yeah. But I do think that we have to really push people to register to vote, to respond to the census, so people know that, because this was the same situation that I had in Pima County as a supervisor, where my district kept getting bigger because it looked like we didn't have as many people, and we know that that's not true. So I do think under this administration, it's challenging because nobody wants to speak to our government and give information about themselves.
All right, Adelita Grijalva, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, there we go, Dan. I mean, I'm really glad it's over. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, she said, God, I don't want to personally attack her. She's not a very honest person. And she's a politician.
Yeah. Is this in Spanish? Can you hear me?
Oh.
All right, go in and come back out. Go in and come back out.
Hold on, I'm going to have to go.
All right, everybody, we are wrapping up this show, but be live here in about 1 hour or so. All right. So what are your closing thoughts on the interview, and then like where you're going for in the future here, and the dates and stuff?
All right. Well, my thoughts on that was she's a politician. She's a career politician. She's going to accomplish nothing in Washington. She's going to continue to divide our community, which I just tired of the division. We should all be sitting and working things out. We don't need these politicians to constantly divide the community, and that's what's happening right now. And I'm tired of that. What I'm going to be doing here in the coming days, tomorrow, we're going to be doing a school back to school event with Sally.
When is that? Yeah, I want to go to that. When is that?
That's
Saturday?
at 9:00 tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow morning, 9:00. Then I'm heading out to Tubac, and then I'm coming. Then I got an event with my buddy's birthday, so I'll be out tomorrow night with my buddy.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try. Could you send me a link to the address for that tomorrow?
I sure will.
All right. Well, I'm gonna put the link to Dan. Anything final?
If you want, you can follow me on Facebook and ask me any questions you want. I try to respond to everybody. You can follow upcoming events we're going to. And if any of you want to donate, you can always donate to my donations on my webpage, which Damien had up, Butierez for Congress. So.
Well, I'm going to play this real quick, and then we're going to pretty much sign off. So let me see if anyone, I'm sure people got comments in the...
I'm Daniel Butierez. My family has resided here since before Arizona was a state. While politicians talk about border security, I live with its consequences daily. I'm a business owner, and I employ dozens of hardworking people fighting to overcome fentanyl addiction. I believe in second chances for these animals we've rescued, for the people we're rebuilding their lives, and for our state. I know what it means when government fails its people. I spent a decade wrongfully imprisoned without due process. It took 30 years to clear my name. I lost everything, but I fought back and won. Now I'm fighting for you. To protect your constitutional rights, cut your taxes, and make our communities safe again. I'm not a politician. I'm a businessman, a neighbor, and an Arizonan who's lived the struggle. Send me to Washington, and I'll fight for Arizona values with everything I have. I'm Daniel Butierez, and I approve this message.
The man of the people. So, yeah, everybody said I got a good luck, Dan. Lots of people saying, great job. So thanks for coming on. We'll do it again. And I put a link if anyone wants to go support you, financially or just send you, you can join them on Facebook and TikTok. But I will see you tomorrow, Dan. And
all right. See you in the morning.
We got your back.
All right, buddy.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming in tonight. We're going to be going here in a little bit. Just a little chill and chat, I call it. And so we got this lined up. Boom, boom. All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Everybody saying thank you. Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. Have a good night. We're going to end it here. See if I can play this, maybe. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, everybody.
Lately, USA is getting scarier. Half of the Americans I see all hate America. They hate the cops doing their best to take care of us and kneel for the flag and salt the soldiers that we're burying. I'm tired of the pissing and complaining. Why you living in America if all you do is hate it? You think it's brave to take a stand against the nation? Real bravery is dying for the right so you can say it. Dear America, what happened to Americans? Apparently no one's aware or cares that it's embarrassing. It's arrogance. Our greatest enemy was always slavery and terrorists, and now it's people in the country trying to burn the heritage. I can't help it, I just seem to see the world different. It ain't Republicans or liberals, it's mental illness. The internet is only interested in left opinions. Cancel culture's got more power lately than the First Amendment. If you don't like it, leave. We will not defund police. We don't want no riots in our neighborhoods or in the streets. We respect freedom of speech. We protect what we believe. We don't want nobody dead, so please do not tread on me. In America, your freedom ain't free. In America, got soldiers dying overseas. So America, you say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you back your bags. America. Does anybody know what the hell happened to the Patriots? Lately, this nation is so ashamed and hating itself. Did everyone forget that people died to pay for this? Ungratefulness, United States gave everything they do just to help. I just want to celebrate Thanksgiving with my family. I don't need your help to understand it was a tragedy. Can I just be thankful for my country eating happily without you trying to guilt me for the genocide and casualties? I can't help it, I just seem to see the world different. It ain't black or white, it's conflict designed by the system. I don't need your pronouns, all I see is men and women. Kids are taking pills for fun while people can't afford prescriptions. If you don't like it, go. Hate it, then don't call it home. We don't need no violence, got no time for all you radicals. anthem, cause the flag is what I'm standing for. In America, it's freedom ain't free. In America, got soldiers dying overseas. So America, you say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. My freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll have